Coming up next on Boston Rock Talk, the John Spencer Blues Explosion. They bring the noise, the chaos, the punk, the funk, and they'll be sitting down to talk with us about all things New York. Welcome to Boston Rock Talk. It's a live music and interview show that we are shooting here at the Comcast studio in Norwell. My guests today, the John Spencer Blues Explosion. John, Judah, and Russell are here with us, and we're going to do some talk, some music, some more talk, more music, and have some fun. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
You guys have been a band, if I'm not mistaken, since 1991 in one form or another, I guess. What accounts for that kind of longevity?
Well, it feels good, so we keep doing it.
But it has not been a consistent run of 25 years.
We've taken breaks at times. There's times when we didn't play at all. Mm-hmm. Longest one was maybe 2 or 3 years. And I think maybe that accounts for some of the, has to do with the longevity, because at times we have, not seen each other, not made any music together, and done other projects and played with other people.
Do you guys sort of look at the Blues Explosion as the mothership, and then with other tributaries?
I think George Clinton looks at the
well, it's his
Blues Explosion as
yes,
the mothership.
Yes, I was borrowing George's term, but to extrapolate a little bit, I mean, is this sort of the central musical outlet for all you guys, or how do you look at it?
Yeah. For me, yeah.
Well, your name is in the
definitely
middle.
Right now. Yeah. This is what I'm doing. Yeah.
There was a period where you and I talked about this. I don't know if you remember, but I was at the Boston Globe at the time. We did an interview, and you had dropped the John Spencer from the name. You were the Blues Explosion.
Just proved to be too confusing for people.
How?
I think right from the very start, I've always, on stage, I talk about the Blues Explosion. I shout the name of the Blues Explosion. I'm in love with the Blues Explosion. And so I think it was in the spirit of that, that we tried changing the name, and it really just caused such a headache with promoters and, fans.
Well, were they saying, like, this is the band, but John's not in it?
There was a lot of, I don't know.
There's been a lot of bands coming along, under Spencer, under Blues Explosion, right there. People have been copping the name, too, you got.
So it wasn't like you two guys saying, hey, enough of this John Spencer guy as the title. We want just the Blues Explosion.
No, it was my idea, and it was a stupid idea. And it was my idea to name the band the John Spencer Blues Explosion, and I guess I have to take blame for that as well.
Let's talk about that. You have said at various points, in song and in interviews, that we're not a blues band, damn it, we're a rock and roll band.
That's true, yeah. We take a lot of influence from the blues, but I don't think we play blues, we play rock and roll. So it has definitely tripped some people up, the name of the band. It's confused some people. But it's not just the name of the group. I think, the way in which we play our songs, the way in which we write our songs, the way we comb our hair even, maybe. It's, I think, befuddles some people in the public.
I think, actually, when I first heard the name, what I thought, when I tried to figure out that, no, you weren't a strict blues band, I kind of went, oh, it's like if the blues exploded, maybe this is what would come out of it. Any
Okay.
Yeah, all right, yeah, okay. Okay. You guys, new record?
Yes.
First one in, I'll let you hold it.
Yeah.
First one in how long?
Just 2 years.
2 years, okay. All right, which isn't that long.
Freedom Tower.
Yes.
Now, new album from the Blues Explosion. It's available on vinyl, hot green vinyl.
Hot green.
Freedom Tower.
Well,
the new record from the John Spencer Blues Explosion.
It's not just Freedom Tower. It's got another title. What's
No Wave Dance Party 2015.
You got to explain that. What does this all mean?
Well, the record is most large ways about our home. It's the city of New York. We're a band from New York City. We live there. We've always lived there. We've always worked there. For about 24, 25 years. We've taken a great inspiration and influence from our hometown. Not just from the musicians and artists that have lived there and worked before us, and at the same time, but also from the city itself. It's a great, big, overwhelming place. It's hard not to live there and have it really impact your daily life. So a lot of the songs are about our hometown or about New York City, and so that's No Wave is I think a musical movement that was very particular to New York City and really confined almost exclusively to New York City.
Sort of early 80s, right?
Yeah.
Bands like with DNA,
Lydia
James
Lunch.
Chance.
Yep,
Yeah, exactly.
And the dance party is, well, this is our dance record. When I was making it, it was always kind of in my head that it might be a dance album or a dance party. So that was kind of the title in the back of my head somewhere. The Freedom Tower part came very late in the game, and for me, that my wife works she's in publishing, and her office has moved recently from Times Square down to the World Trade Center, the new World Trade Center. And so she was, at home I'd hear a lot of talk about, having to change offices and the new building and, One World Trade. And it hit me that, Freedom Tower was a perfect title for an album about New York City. It's sort of, in so many different ways, good and bad, right and wrong. It kind of sums up the city today.
Well, you guys are going to start us off with a song very much about the city, Betty,
Yeah.
versus the NYPD. You want to tell people a little bit about what that might be about?
Well, a little bit, I suppose. I guess it's about a sex worker. Recently I read a couple books. One was the Patti Smith book, Just Kids, and the other was the Richard Hell book. I think the title's about I Dreamed I Was a Clean Tramp. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and both are really wonderful books. I'd recommend anybody to, maybe if you're at your local record store,
Were they?
well, after you pick up Freedom Tower, then you can go to your local bookstore and support your local stores. Or, if you want to, you can go online and order both at the same time. But those are great books for anybody who wants to read. But they're not just interesting to read about these Patti Smith and Richard Hell's musical careers and development, but also that both authors paint a very vivid picture of a New York City that is largely gone and lost. So I think that was all sort of kicking around in my head and definitely influenced the song Betty.
So does the Betty song sort of take place in a mythical New York or a New York?
I think a lot of it, yeah. I mean, for me, I fell in love with I guess a mythical New York City. I was living somewhere else and was really into records by people such as DNA and Lydia Lunch, the Sonic Youth, Swans, Suicide Ramones, and the Velvets, and so I think I constructed this New York City in my head, and also filmmakers like Richard Kern. Nick Zed. Anyway, so I sort of fell in love with the East Village and the kind of art and music scene, and I think perhaps I still relate to New York City and to that kind of New York City, which is, gone. It does not exist. So, maybe also with this record where the Blues Explosion is trying to, create a new myth.
A new myth. Yeah. Why don't you play us?
Okay.
Betty versus New York.
All right.
Okay. The aggression is great. I love that. One thing I wanted to ask you, John, you were in a band called Pussy Galore many years ago, and there was a quote that you gave somebody, I'm just going to read what the quote was, about, you said, we were angry, anti-everything people, genuinely angry people, and we wanted to throw that anger out to other people.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's not where you're coming from now.
No, I was, that was a long time ago. I was, I was definitely younger. I'd like to think that kind of grown up a little. I think I kind of worked through some stuff with that band.
Well, I think sometimes people hear a sound like what you've got here today, and they interpret that as anger because it's so rash, loud. But how do you view it? I mean, do you view it as sort of a catharsis sort of thing when you play? Or?
It's freeing, it's what rock and roll is. It's not just anger, it's a lot of things. It's really freedom, that's what it really feels like. I mean, it's got sex in it, it's got anger, it's got, it's happy at the same time, it's not just one feeling, it's sort of a whole emotional range.
I think that's a good point too, because musically you jam a lot of different things into a fairly short space, I find, song by song. I mean, that was what, maybe 2.5 minutes?
Yeah.
And a lot of your songs are deceptively short, like 2.5 or 3.5 minutes or something. They feel longer, and I mean that in a good way, just because it's, I mean it in a good way.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, because there's so much going on in there. I guess I'm curious about sort of composition, because they don't seem to me to be something that would just kind of roll out easily. I mean, are there parts put together to make these things? Do you look at it that way?
We work on the songs. I mean, we don't just, it's not something that comes like immediately. I mean, we get together, it comes easier. I mean, it comes easy enough that we have a chemistry that makes it come easy enough, but it's not something that, it takes a minute. But, we have a process. Usually it's pretty much the same process. We get together, we play, we feel something sounds good, and we just kind of work off of that. And eventually it starts developing into something more cohesive, and we work on that. And, we don't force anything too much. We don't push, for something that's unnatural. It's, it's always pretty organic, and then, materializes into a song that we're happy about.
Say for this record, you were talking about the New York theme that's there. Did you come in with the idea that we're going to write an album about New York, or did that just kind of evolve?
No,
it
was not a concept album. There was no concept beforehand, and it is, that was something which sort of emerged, and it's a very loose theme,
Right. It's not a heavy.
No.
It's not quite like Lou Reed's New York.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was more sort of. Yeah.
No, it's not like that.
Yeah, and what you're talking about too, Russell, about the celebration. I think that aspect of it. I think that's, I guess, kind of your job, isn't it, to bring the party every night? I mean, is it that?
Yeah, I mean, people are looking to us to let something go, let something out, and really kind of burst through to someplace else for them on their behalf, and kind of allow them to do that a little bit. When we're playing a show, it's not just us. We're playing with the whole crowd, with everybody in the room.
And you guys rather famously do not use a set list, correct?
That's correct.
Never have?
Yeah.
So when you're playing tonight in Boston, so when you hit the stage, are you going to have any idea where you're going to start or finish?
Yeah, I have to have a little idea, because I got to let Judah know which guitar to use. So.
But other than that, I mean, but are you going to emphasize songs on the new record?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, that makes sense.
And there's things that will hit. If we have a 2 or 3 song segue that feels really good one night, we'll probably hit it again the next night.
So it's all a developmental process.
If you get a reaction from the crowd too, songs seem to be, more interactive.
You can feel that from the stage?
Well, there's a lot of that. I mean, that's part of the band, just feeding the energy, and John going off on tangents while we hold the groove down. That isn't a written format. They're not songs. More like
sort of literal tangents and sometimes physical tangents, like running into the crowd or.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. We like to leave things open, and so if we had a set list, then I don't think it would work as well. It wouldn't be as fun.
It'd be boring, yeah.
There was a bit. I saw the clip. You did a thing for Rolling Stone where the 10 songs that you of yours that you wanted to emphasize, or at least were important to you, and one of them was from an Australian TV performance.
Yeah.
Where things went a little out of control.
Yeah.
Tell me what happened there. It's great to look up if you're on YouTube. Look up John's.
The program. It's the clip is from an Australian morning show. And it was on in the morning, filmed live, broadcast live, Saturday morning, I think. Saturday or Sunday? Anyway, it was called Recovery. And so if you could look that up, the song's Two Kinds of Love, and it's on Recovery. We were booked in there to perform a song, and we started playing the song, and then we just freaked out. And it wasn't planned, we just did it, and God bless the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. They let us go. We weren't. The big hook didn't come out. We just freaked out. Yeah.
Apparently in Australia, it's one of the most viewed music videos on YouTube.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, it should be. Was just a thought here. Was the Cramps' Lux Interior ever a role model?
Oh,
in that
sure.
respect?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cramps are a great band. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I saw him do that kind of thing many a time, and it was like. you always had the feeling that the chaos might just bust loose out of the mix. Well, why don't we get back into music? You're going to play a couple of songs in a row.
If that's
now.
okay.
It's a music and interview show. We want both.
All right.
Tell us what two you're going to play. If you
I think we're going to try to play
You
a
don't
few
even
old
know.
ones and then play some new ones, if that's okay.
go ahead. One quote you gave, John, a while ago about wildness. I guess you were saying that all the wildness that you do is restricted to the stage now. You're a man of a certain age. You're not indulging in things you might have indulged in when you were younger. And, so that whole, whoa, the band is so high, they're going to be partying all night long after the show's over. That's not really the case, I guess, anymore, right?
No.
I mean, you do what you do. Here. What kind of regimen do you have to kind of undertake to kind of keep the energy going through all these shows and
A lot
tours?
of love.
A lot of love.
You gotta like doing it. I mean, for me, I don't really do anything. I like to just play with these guys, man. I don't sit around like practicing too much. I practice with them when we're doing tours. And I like doing it.
Well, look, I think that's good for us. We got one more song for you to play
What do you
out
want us
on.
to play?
I will. Let me sign off. I'll just say
Okay.
this is.
Sorry.
But that's all right. Boston Rock Talk. I'm Jim Sullivan. I've been your host. John Spencer Blues Explosion has been our guest today. And now there's a discussion about what song they want to play us out with. And what are you in the mood for? What's the zeitgeist? What's the vibe?
Anything you want, that'll work for us.
You want an old one or a new one?
Go for a new one.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do a new one.
All right.